getting ready then for our KZ2 final on their formation lap, and here is how they will line up. It is Tommy van der Struijs on the front row alongside with Kevin Steyhauer. Second row of the grid is Renzo Alibax and Robin Glerum. Third row of the grid is Jeffrey Fix and Enzo Bol. Fourth row of the grid is Daniel Tenbach and Julian Carmen. Fifth row on the grid is Sita Van Mert and Jelte Boomer. Sixth place on the sixth row of the grid, Sir Volters and Jake Weston. Jens Truer and Dominic Reuters share the seventh row of the grid. Eighth row of the grid is Milan van Vinden and Ryan Kiewitzbosch. Ninth row of the grid is Giovanni Vitavine and Luca Bremer. 10th row of the grid is Euro van Duivenvoorde and Jorimon Malema. And the 11th row of the grid is Rick Mirovits and Dirk van Silfalt with Nelson Berghaus all on their own on row 12. Now that is, of course, if Nelson Berghaus, obviously, I'm sure he'll be delighted with me saying that in the pre-final, unfortunately, he spun off and didn't take the start. I'm sure he'll be delighted that I reminded everybody of that. But this is a chance for Berghaus to put that in the past and see what he can do from this position. A clean slate for him. What can he do with it? Heading up the order. But for van der Struijs, it's never as simple as anything, is it? It's a case of make sure you get to turn one first and try and build the gap from there. That's how race 1 ended up. That's how he will want race 2 to go. Steyhauer then, with that 5-second penalty, that's a problem. I'm just seeing there for the 2.64, Jelte Boomer, who is, the cart's come to a stop on the formation lap. So we'll see probably that cart get recovered if it can't be restarted. Just keep an eye on that, see if he does get that car started up again. But we'll see then. We've still got a few seconds left before the carts are lined up on the grid, so the decision will be made, can the cart be restarted, or is that it for Jelte Boomer? Boomer would have been starting in 10th place, so it's a big one from the midfield to lose if it is. We shall wait and see, as another one up at one of the third to last corner is off as well, has come to a stop. Now if they slow down too much and the revs drop, then these carts do cut out. So that's why they'll be revving on the grid to keep the engine running, keep the cart ticking over. And that's all have to be accounted for when they make their way, when they have to decide for fuel as well. A couple of empty spots on the grid that have not been filled out. But we'll see then at the back of the grid, as one of them is slightly out of line, having to be pulled back to the correct grid slot. At least we'll have to start right at the back. The green flag is waved from the back then. We're ready to go racing then, and well, that's the 255 taking the grid slot then. Well, the red lights go on, they go out, and we go racing. It's initially a good launch off the line then from Kevin Steyhauer. Can he keep that position then as we make our way through in towards the first hairpin for the very first time then? It looks like that is the case. Van der Struijs then will drop a position at least out of the hairpin. And that was important. That was a really important move then from Steyhauer. He got the launch right, and now trying to make his way towards the front of the field, then looking back through the order as well. Keep an eye out for the likes of Berghaus. If he did take the start, don't think he did, which is unfortunate there. But there we see the 214. That is Renzo Alibax, who started this race in third place. There you can see a cart that's pulled off the circuit as well on that formation lap. And as drivers now make their way through in towards the last few corners then, it is Steyhauer who leads the race then out of the final corner, getting the power down then. Second place is that 216, so that's Glerum up into second place. Van der Struijs is down to third place as they make their way through that first corner. And there's a move up the inside there to try and take over the position. That's Bol in the 255, who's managed to get a position there. Enzo Bol right up the inside at the hairpin to try and take over that position. But Steyhauer knows that start was so important to get right. Van der Struijs then has work to do, but plenty of time to do it. 11.5 minutes on the clock, of course. in these early stages of the race. The rain did stop, but it has started again. So any chance of the track drying out, well, I think we could see was not going to happen. But through our drivers go then in towards the final corner. Steyhauser has been closed in by Glerum on that last lap then as we get the power down. The 2:16 has got a turn of pace about it with a new fastest lap, 54.6, taken 0.3 of a second out of Steyhauer on that last lap. And onwards then we go. So this will be a battle for the lead then. Steyhauer and Glerum battling away for top spot in the KZ2 final. Not far behind them is Van der Struijs in third place, winner of the pre-final. Watching on then, is there a chance here for Robin Glerum to get a position? Turning up the wick and putting the pressure now on Kevin Steyhauer. Looks down the inside and takes the move then. Grabs that with both hands, that opportunity, and moves into the lead of the race then. Glerum leads from Steyhauer in second place. And then that's Van der Struijs in third place. Across the line they go. Glerum knew that was a move that he probably needed to make post-haste, and he has done. At a corner that, well, running 2x2 in the dry is tricky. Running 2x2 in the wet is possible, but it's still no less tricky. And now Glerum will be thinking one thing: get away. Turn the wick up and go for it to try and build a gap between himself and Steyhauer, because the longer he can stay ahead of Steyhauer, the longer that means he can stay ahead of Van der Struijs. It will be important, integral for Glerum to try and get as far up the road as possible in that battle for third place. Fourth place then is the 2:55. That's going to be Enzo Bol. As there's battling to be done further down the field then in towards the hairpin. I'm watching on here. It's a great scrap to watch on for here, as that's the 2:14. So that's Renzo Alibax. As that's a move down the inside then for second place. Battling between Steyhauer and Van der Struijs. Van der Struijs now round the outside. He'll look to get the power down. Will he get ahead of Steyhauer? Yes, he will. So Van der Struijs up to second place. Steyhauer down to third. And Steyhauer knows he had to try and stay ahead there. He lost 6 seconds over the course of the race on race pace. Once Glerum got ahead, once Van der Struijs got ahead. He'll have to do his best now to try and keep on. And now with Van der Struijs up to second place, what are the lap times going to be like for Kevin Steyhauer to try and stay on the back? And what are the lap times going to be for Tommy Van der Struijs to see if he can close in on Robin Glerum? That's going to be all important at this stage. And we know that once Van der Struijs gets into the lead, he's not going to worry too much. He's 2.4 seconds away from that lead at the moment, and with the battling with Steyhauer on that last lap, he was a second slower than Glerum. The gap's 2.4 at the moment. There's a battle to watch on for there. That's the 232, I think that is, which will be Ryan Kiewiczbosch. That's Witteveen in the 2T6 right behind. Watching on as well, plenty of battles to keep our eye on. As we look up and down the order, there is the 205 there. So that is Jeffrey Fix, who's high up in the championship, 5th place right now, behind the 255 of Enzo Bol. Going to be an important position here, you would say, for Fix in the 205 to try and see if he can find a way through. Not going to be easy at this stage with just less than 7 minutes to go. But Fix looks so much later on the brakes there than Bol on that section. Through in towards this flying left-hander, which we have seen overtakes here during the day, which has been great to watch. As we make our way in towards the hairpin. both taking roughly similar lines to try and get the power down a little bit earlier and make their way onwards now through turn 1 and now on towards the hairpin. It's Fix at the moment. They're matching each other for pace, of course. They're being pretty much bumper to bumper at this stage. But Enzo Bol is doing enough to keep himself ahead right now of the charge then of Fix. And for Jeffrey Fix, it's a case of, can he make the move stick? Where will he need to go? As we see there, going into the fast left-hander. Again, Fix, out of the previous corner, he just loses a little bit of time versus Enzo Bol there. Oh, and Enzo Bol runs a little bit wide. Maybe just trying to keep the cart in the right direction there. Blera, meanwhile, is setting quicker lap times than Van der Stroys at the moment. There is Enzo Bol, who is trying to get away right now from Jeffrey Fix. Three and a half seconds though, Blera is ahead of Van der Stroys. There is Enzo Bol, who's running in 4th place at the moment. Behind him is Jeffrey Fix and also the 2:29 as well of Julian Carmen. Less than 5 minutes left on the clock with 2 additional laps to run after that. Blera is lapping faster than anybody out on circuit at the moment. He's just got another 0.2 of a second between himself and Tommy Van der Stroys. So he's very much enjoying these conditions out there. Enzo Bol is enjoying, I'm assuming enjoying, this battle for 4th place. He's ahead of it at the moment with Jeffrey Fix and that is Julian Carmen, who are trying to chase him down, try and chase down that position for what would be 4th place in this race. There is Jeffrey Fix making his way through now in towards that slower left-hander, towards the far end of the circuit. So twisting and technical circuit really does test the limits of adhesion, and there's not a lot of adhesion because there's a lot of water around the ground, so it does take a little bit for the wet weather warriors to really come into their own in races like these where the rain is still falling, not as heavy as it was, but still falling. But battle for 4th place. Enzo Bol, Jeffrey Fix, still very much in this battle. Watching in the wings there as well is Carmen. What can Julian Carmen do? Can he close in any more on this battle? I think he has. I think it's safe to say he's closed in substantially on that battle now. It's now a 3-way battle for 4th place. Bol, Fix and Carmen in that order right now. 3 minutes to go then, with Blera, who's just crossed the start-finish line there, coming up a bit against a bit of lappery here, as there's a bit of contact at the final corner, as Fix goes into the back of Bol. Enzo Bol then still holding on to 4th place, ahead of Jeffrey Fix. Through in towards the hairpin we go. Julian Carmen, the 3rd car in that queue, in that battle for 4th place. Very much looking to see, maybe he was sizing up a move then on Jeffrey Fix at that point, but decided against it. Maybe the thought never crossed his mind. Either way, he stayed behind for now. And that 3-kart battle for 4th place right now. As Jeffrey Fix gets right up close and personal with the rear bumper of Enzo Bol. He now goes down the inside in towards the flying left-hander and gets the move done. And Enzo Bol couldn't really do a lot against that. Jeffrey Fix got the kart down the inside and got the position then. So Fix is up to 4th place with less than 2 minutes on the clock. Julian Carmen now will have seen that move. Enzo Bol will know that potentially Julian Carmen might try and move down the inside, down at that corner once again, but Enzo Bol has not let Jeffrey Fix get too far down the road. Still a good battle on for P4 here. 90 seconds on the clock, with 2 laps afterwards. Get the power down then. And Jeffrey Fix has not been able to get away. Enzo Bol then making his way then out of that tighter left-hander in towards the final corners of the circuit. There wasn't a move on there, but watch out as well for Julian Carmen right behind. And Julian Carmen sees the opportunity. Down the inside he goes and takes over 5th place in this race. And Enzo Bol must be thinking, what on earth happened there? Potentially a bit of understeer. But Julian found the inside gap. He saw the gap open up. And Julian Carmen got the move done for 5th place. About 36 seconds to go now in this final for the KZ2. And there is Julian Carmen in the number 229. Potentially an opportunity to try and close in on Jeffrey Fix in the closing stages of this race in that battle for 4th place. Crossing the line then goes our race leader in Robin Glerham. And still setting pretty good lap times. A 5.7 second leader. Spinner at the final hairpin. Manages to get going again. And the spinner at the final corner was the 2.35. So that was Jori Malema, who ran into a bit of trouble there. Side-by-side action in towards the first corner. That was the 2.71 Jake Weston, who had to back out of that one. No move on there for Weston. Still battle for 4th place with one fewer driver. There is the 2.87. That is Van Duivenvoort as we make our way across the line then. So 2 laps to go then for Glerham in the number 2.16. And it's a case of Glerham got the start right and never really looked back after that. Steyhauer was dispatched, and there is your race leader there in Robin Glerham. Glerham started 4th place in this final and managed to make his way up to the lead, and we've got yellow flags. That's because there's a cart off at the final corner. I say the final corner, it's the gravel on the turn flying left-hander. It's Van Meert in the number 2.40. As the final lap board comes out then for our race leader in Glerham, making his way onwards to settle this one. He's been in fine form going into this race. 4th place, of course, in the pre-final. Set himself up very nicely for the final. And as he makes his way through the back ends of the circuit then, he'll look to try and put the cherry on top of what's been a fine performance. There's yellow flag, so he won't be able to overtake any bit of a lappery through that left-hander. As long as he remembers that, he should be good as gold through in towards the final few corners now. And making his way through that final hairpin to take the victory of the final of the KZ2 Masters. It is Robin Glerham who takes the victory ahead of the 2.54. And Tommy van der Stroys, winner of the B final, has to settle for 2nd place in the final. And in a moment we should see Kevin Steyhauer across the line shortly. Yes, we do. We've already seen him across. Fix across the line in 4th, Carmen in 5th. We should see Enzo Bol across the line in 6th place. Ali Bax in 7th with Tenbach in 8th. We'll see Reuters and Troyer. Troyer starting down the field then, starting in 13th place, managed to get to 10th. Apologies, he managed to get to 9th, getting a move on that final lap. And as we just await now, Van Vinden across the line. We're just waiting for the 2.77. There goes Van Silfout to round off our finishes at the flag. And how that looks then for the provisional results of the KZ2 final. It is Robin Glerham who takes the victory against Tommy van der Struijs. Kevin Steyhauser in third place with Jeffrey Flicks in fourth. Julian Carmen in fifth place with Enzo Bol in sixth. Renzo Alabaks in seventh place with Daniel Tenbach in eighth. Jens Truer in ninth with Dominic Reuters in 10th. Jake Weston 11th, Giovanni Vittavine in 12th. Ryan Kiewicz-Bosch in 13th place. Luca Bremer in 14th place with Van Vinden in 15th. Van Silforst in 16th place. And then we have Muovitz in 17th place, Van Duivenvoort in 18th, Mollema in 19th, with our non-finishers Van Meert, Wouters, Buma and Berghaus. Buma and Berghaus not taking the start, whilst Van Meert and Wouters did not see the flag.